Oh, here we go. All right, let's do this. Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday morning, and this is Mindful Movement with Chris. I'm Chris Kissel. I'm a muscle activation technique specialist, and I utilize those skills into showing you how to connect your muscles to the right movements. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take you through a series of movements, and these movements are going to the way we're going to do them is going to make you move efficiently. It's going to make your muscles contract on demand when they need to be, so you don't get compensation. When you get compensation, that's where the aches and pains come in. Those compensating muscles are the muscles that are working too hard, and they're just telling you, please get the right muscles to work when you move through your body. So we're going to teach you how to get those right muscles to work when we move through your body. I'm going to adjust my camera here a bit. What you might want to have today is a towel or a yoga strap, also a yoga block. And I'm going to I'll suggest you might want a little pillow for the back of your head. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use a throw pillow as well. So let's get started. We're going to do full body today. We'll work from head to toe. A lot of times during this course, we'll pick out a couple body parts like hips or sciatic pain or ankles or something to really increase our mobility. But today we're just going to do the whole body. So let's get started. All right. Get in a comfortable seated position right here. Now, if this is not comfortable for you, that's okay. You can sit like this. You can sit like, just leave your legs up a little bit. I wouldn't suggest you go this way. I was going to do that, but I'm not going to. So anyway, let's get in a comfortable seated position. And we're just going to work our shoulder blades and our neck for starters. What I want you to think of is your scapulas, your shoulder blades on your back body. Forget about this part of your shoulder right now. We're going to picture in our mind our shoulder blades just lighting up our back and then coming down as we do this. So think of lifting your shoulder blades up your back. Your shoulders are going to rise up. Put your mind in those shoulder blades and then go ahead and push those shoulder blades down into your back body. So I really want your mind in what are my shoulder blades doing? Bring your shoulder blades up your back, up your back. Shoulders come up to the ears. They're going to help pull it along. And then push your shoulder blades back down to your back body. If your shoulder blades cannot glide, then you're going to get a restriction right here in your shoulder. Lift the shoulder blades up your back body and push your shoulder blades back down. Push them down, push them hard, down into those back pockets. All right, so now we're going to take the shoulder blades and we're going to move them in a different direction. We're going to spread them apart on our back, reaching them around the rib cage like this, and then we're going to squeeze them back together towards our spine. So push your hands in front of you. Now what I want to do, actually, let's just pretend like we're hugging somebody. So just take your arms here, reach them around, but feel your shoulder blades pulling apart from the spine, pulling apart from each other, coming around to the side of your rib cage. And now put your hands up like this. And I want you to push your shoulders back. And I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades back and together towards your spine. Squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them. Let's round it open. Bring it around like you're going to give somebody a big hug. Reach those shoulder blades apart. Reach them apart. Reach them apart. And then lift your palms. Relax your shoulders down. Squeeze your shoulder blades back and together. So let's do all those moves. Let's lift the shoulder blades up to the ears. We've got them nice and mobile now. Push them in your back pocket. Reach around, spread them apart with a hug. Palms up, squeeze them back together. Let's do that again. Lift the shoulder blades up. Push the shoulder blades into your back pockets. Reach around and give somebody a hug. push it up into a stop sign and pull your hands back, squeezing your shoulder blades together. Wonderful, wonderful. Now we're going to do a little movement for our head. And a lot of times you'll see people drop their head over and then kind of pull it over to the side. We're going to do that a little differently because the muscles that are supposed to be working are right here. They're shortening. We're going to make them contract instead of yanking on the tight muscles. These tight muscles that aren't letting you go are there because these guys aren't working. So let's try this. Put your hand against the side of your head around the temple. Now I want you to gently push your head into your hand and then just hold where you reach that stopping point. Keep pushing your head into your hand. You can let this arm drop to the floor. Push, 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 and come up. All right. So we've got our head right about where our temple is. We're going to lean our head where it can go. And once you find that stopping point, I want you to push your hand into your head and your head into your hand. And keep breathing. This is actually an isometric. We don't want you to hold your breath while you're doing isometric, but keep pushing that head into the hand. And let's do that one more time. So you're leaning your ear toward your shoulder. You're making this tightness go away by pushing your head into your hand, shortening the muscles over here, getting them to contract, getting them to move on demand, and lift it up. All right. So let's just see what that feels like to that side. Just drop it over. Should feel a little looser. So to know where we're at with this, go ahead and drop it your ear to the other side, to the other shoulder. Just monitor where you are. Take your hand against your temple and push, push, push that head into your hand. You can let this arm drop down to get a little extra lengthening on the other side and bring it up. So take it over ear to shoulder where you can go. Then give it a gentle push, hand into head, head into hand. You're not like, just give it, a gentle push. Not like you're trying to kill somebody, okay? Not pushing through somebody. And come on up. Let's do that one more time. Lean over, push, push, push. Let this get long, 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 long. And bring it up. Now put your arms down and just see how that feels. Did you get any more range? So we're opening up the range, but we're using the correct muscles. That's what this class is all about today. So let's go into a little opening of our hips. And what I want you to do is let's just do a few circles. We're doing it from this hip crease. So circle around, circle around, circle around. Nice. Go the other way. Circle around, circle around. And then let's switch the position of our legs because that's going to change how you circle. It's going to change what it feels like. So go ahead and circle, circle. And then I want you to reverse that circle. Reverse that circle. All right. So now we're going to look at these hips and we're going to look at our torso. We're going to look at rotation of the torso when the hips are stationary. We want to be able to move our rib cage on top of our hips. So let's go ahead and reposition our legs. I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. So you're going to have your left leg bent in front. I'm going to position my legs right at the edge of my mat so I can make sure they're even. So you want your knees to be even right here. My left leg is coming in front. My right leg is going bent back behind me. Now, from here, I want you to take your hands across your chest. I want you to think of this right rib cage going over to this left leg. So what you're going to do is you're going to rotate this right rib cage towards your left leg. So rotate it over. Nice. Stop where you have to. Now reach your left hand to the floor. Reach your right hand to the floor. We're still thinking about moving that rib cage. And you're going to walk your hands out as far as you can, moving that rib cage towards the left leg, and then drop your elbows to the floor. Once you're here, let's do a couple lifts. Straighten the elbows, bend the elbows. Straighten the elbows, bend the elbows. Straighten the elbows, and bend the elbows. But all the time, once you're here in this bent elbow, think about moving the right side of that rib cage towards your left leg. So now that we're here, we're going to open up the hip on the right side. So what I want you to do is I want you to lift your right knee up off the floor. Open it and down. So we're working external rotation in that right hip. By lifting the knee off the floor, you're externally rotating your hip. You're using the muscles here on the back side of the hip. So open it up and lower it. Now we're going to internally rotate that leg. But once again, put your mind where that right rib cage is. Set it going towards the left leg. And then lift your foot off the ground and put it back down. Lifting the foot off the ground is creating internal rotation at that right hip. Lift and lower and lift and lower. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm going to get this pillow out of the way. Okay, come back up to a seated position. Let's reverse that to the other side. So you're going to take your right leg. It's going to be bent. It's going to be in front. Your left leg is going to be behind. Remember, our knees are lined up evenly. I want you to think of this rib cage. So now the left side of the rib cage is going to rotate over to this right thigh. Rotate it, rotate it, rotate it. When you get to the end of your rotation, and this side might rotate better, you never know, you're going to walk your hands out, and then you're going to place your elbows on the floor. Now, once again, be mindful of where that rib cage is. Scoot that left rib cage over to that right leg. Now, lift up on the elbows, straighten the elbows, and lower down. And lift up and lower down. And lift up and lower down. So we're staying in rotation of our thoracic spine here. We're rotating our rib cage. So keep your elbows on the floor. Now we're going to the hip. So let's do some external rotation of that left hip by lifting our knee up off the floor. Lift. And it might not be a huge lift. You're keeping your foot on the floor. You're lifting your knee off the floor. Lift. Good. Lift. Keep that rib cage in position. Lift. And lift. Now let's go into internal rotation of that hip. Reposition that rib cage and lift your foot up off the floor. Lift. So you're rotating the top of that femur into that hip socket internally. Lift. One more. Lift. All right. So let's get a nice little movement to come up out of these hip flexors. We're going to open it up. We've been bent forward. Now we're going to extend. So you can use the back side of the body to open up the front. So what I want you to do is stay in this seated position. Take your right hand, place it behind you like a kickstand, nice and strong. You're going to keep a nice opening here. We work the neck. We got that open. You're going to push down into that hand. You're going to rise up on your knees, and you're going to reach up to the ceiling. So you're going to get a nice wide wingspan, hand to hand, reach, reach, reach. Now let's just rainbow that arm. And all the while we're doing this, we are squeezing the back side of our left hip, pushing it forward, getting this nice opening right here. So reach over and back and over and back. And let's just set it down. Good job. Let's switch sides on that. So once again, we're going to take our left foot in front, right leg in back, knees are lined up at the edge of your mat. You're going to take your left hand. You're going to keep a straight arm. You're going to push it down into the floor. You're going to rise up on your hips. Rise up, rise up, rise up. Squeeze this bum. Squeeze it because it's going to open this up. The harder you squeeze back here, the more release you're going to get up here. We're creating extension in our right hip. So reach over and back and over and back and over and back. Good job, good job. So in the hips, we just increased internal rotation, external rotation, extension, and flexion. We also got some good rotation in our torso. Let's increase the strength in the back side of our hips right now. So I want you to go down on the floor, and this is where the pillow would come in handy if you want it. You can prop your head up on a pillow, a ball, another yoga block, because what we're going to do is we're going to we want our neck to get as flat to the floor as it can, just like our low back is. You want your cervical spine to be rounded a little bit towards the floor for this, because we're going to flatten our back into the floor. So you're going to flatten your low back into the floor by pulling your navel into your spine, getting your gaze to glance at the top of your knees, bringing your chin towards your chest. So I like to put a little prop on the back of my head, just so I have more room for movement back here. And I want to push the whole back of my neck towards the floor, and I want to push my low back to the floor. Now from here, I want to squeeze my glutes together, just squeeze them. Squeeze them. So we've got a gentle tightness on this yoga block between our knees, but I want you to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze those glutes. Squeeze those glutes. And then just release them. Now feel in your mind, feel if you're squeezing evenly. Is one side squeezed better than the other? Go ahead, bring your neck in line with your low back. So we're rounding them both to the floor. And squeeze your glutes really tight. Squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them. Squeeze them. This is mindful movement. So when you do bridges, you're squeezing, but a lot of times what we're doing is just lifting from our hips. We're using the momentum from our hips. We're not using our glute squeeze. And release. Good. Just relax. Back goes into neutral back again. You got a little space here in neutral back, neutral spine. So once again, be mindful where your neck is. Push the whole back of your neck towards your floor. Pull your navel into your spine. And squeeze those glutes. Squeeze those glutes. Squeeze those glutes. Be mindful of what this feels like. We're going to take it to the next step, because I want you to be able to be squeezing your glutes while you're going through a class and doing hip bridges or hip lifts. And release. So for this one, I recommend you just letting your back go flat to the floor, because our spine is going to be a neutral spine, so we can have a little natural curve here. And you're going to just squeeze those glutes again. And now keep that squeeze. I want you to think of these pointy hip bones right here going straight up to the ceiling. So keep that squeeze. Lift your hips up to the ceiling. Lift them up. Lift them up. Try to keep them level. Keep squeezing back here. Squeeze as hard as you can. Now keep that squeeze and lower it down, lower it down, lower it down, lower it down. Nice and slow. So when you're doing a normal hip lift, this is the actions that are supposed to be happening. You're supposed to be squeezing that bum. So squeeze your glutes, lift your hips, try to keep those hips level as you raise them to the ceiling. Hold that raise, squeeze, 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 squeeze. Now keep squeezing. This is eccentric control. Keep squeezing as you lower it down. Keep squeezing, keep squeezing, keep squeezing, and release. So now, if you were doing a normal hip lift, let's put that action into play. Let's go a little faster. So just squeeze, lift, squeeze, lower. Squeeze, lift, squeeze, lower. Squeeze, lift. Now, in some hip lifts, you can let go of the squeeze when you're at the top and lower down. But if you really want to get the action, you're going to do it on both sides. So squeeze, lift, keep the squeeze, lower, release. Squeeze, lift, keep the squeeze, lower, release. So work on that when you're in a class, when you're working with your physical therapist, when you're trying to get these hip lifts going. Make every movement count. Use every muscle. Squeezing the backside is going to open up this, and we're encouraging efficient contractions through our body. All right, so now let's work a little bit on the lower abdominal and just engage that, all right? So you might want to get your little prop for your head again, because we're going to be pushing our low back into the floor. I'm just using a rolled up towel. I don't want a really big thing behind my head. But once again, we're going to take our neck and we're going to tilt our chin down and push the back of our neck into the floor as we push our lower back into the floor. We're just going to keep this yoga block here between our knees or a pillow, whatever you have, just to keep these hips lined up and keep them stable. But our focus now is to work the lower abdominals right here. If you've had a C-section or any kind of abdominal surgery, this is a must, all right? So place your hands on the floor and just suction cup them to the floor. And what I mean by that is I want you to put your palms on the floor. I want you to lift your fingers up off the floor and push the palms into the floor, then lower the fingers down, and you've got contact with your palms into the floor. This is giving you a little neural input. So now I want you to take your gaze and look towards the top of your knees. So you're bringing your chin to your chest. Once again, you're bringing the back of your neck to the floor. And from here, we're going to round our low back into the floor, but be very conscious of pulling your navel, your belly button into your spine, and you're going to experience a little tilt of the pubic bone coming up towards your nose. So the pubic bone's right here. It's going to tilt up towards you. This is going to get helpful in getting rid of what we call an anterior tilt in the pelvis or a sway back. This increases the strength on the muscles in the front side of your pelvis. And I want you to hold this, keep breathing, and then release it. So it's a very subtle move. We're not lifting the hips up off the floor, but we're encouraging this pelvic area, the pubic bone, to tilt up. We're lengthening our lumbar spine in the back. We're straightening it a little more so we don't have a big sway back. So let's do that another time. So put your gaze towards the top of your knees, because I want your neck going the same direction as your low back. Very important. And we've got our hands suction cupped to the floor for a little more input. Pull your navel into your spine. Feel that pubic bone gently glide up towards your nose. Your spine is flattening into the floor. Keep breathing. I want you to hold this for 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release it. We're going to do that one more time. I want you to get the feel for this 6-second count. If you take nothing from this workout class today and just incorporate this into your daily routine, it's going to really strengthen your low back, and it's going to correct your posture. It's going to do all kinds of good stuff for you. But it's a count of 6, a slow count of 6, and then you release it for that same amount of time, that same slow count of 6. So one last time, we've got our palms suction cupped to the floor. We've got our gaze at our knees. We've got our chin towards our chest. And I want you to pull your navel into your spine. Pull your navel into your spine. Pull it in. Hold it. Keep breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So I said we're going to do the whole body. So let's throw a couple ankle moves in here. What I want you to do is bring your knee towards your chest as far as you're comfortable, and then grab the sides of your knee. We're going to bring our ankle into a point and a flex. So what you're doing is you're taking the top of your foot towards your shin and the back of your heel towards your calf. And I want you to forget about the toes. I don't want the toes making this happen. I want this to work from the ankle joint. So I'm bringing my heel towards my calf, then I'm bringing the top of my foot towards my shin. Then bring your heel towards your calf and the top of your foot towards your shin. Let's do that one more time. So then you're targeting the actual ankle joint, not just the toes, making your foot move. The toes are important, but right now we're just focusing on the ankle. So you're putting some guardrails right up here. Bring your knee as close to your chest as you can. Stop it, guard it here. And then I want you to take the back of your heel towards your calf, the top of your foot towards your shin, the back of your heel towards your calf, and the top of your foot towards your shin. Let's do that one more time. The back of your heel towards your calf, and the top of your foot towards the shin. All right, go ahead and sit up. So roll over towards your side. That's the best way to sit up without straining yourself, and come back to your seated position and take a big breath up. Hands together at the top, bring them down to your chest as you exhale. Thank you very much. This has been Mindful Movement with Chris, and I hope you took a move away that felt really good to your body and you're going to use it every day. Thanks.